Mel Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion
My
Power
name is
Hour.
Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our edition each week of this Jazz Confusion Power Hour. I'm Mel Albin. I'm your host, and I'm the founder of the Power Hour. And I want to first tell you a little bit about why I created the show and a little bit more about the station, which is a nonprofit Source TV radio network. I started in Power Hour because of the changes in FM radio primarily. It appears that over the years, urban music has been crowding it out. Most of the music now is syndicated. There's very few local FM stations anymore playing jazz, R&B, and soul and blues. So I created the Power Hour for two reasons: to give all the listeners to my show and also fans of the artists that we have on our shows an opportunity to know the artist, to get behind the music, to learn something about how they create music and how they go about their daily lives. I also will play four key songs that I discussed with the artist that they think represents their music, so you can understand the music, and they'll explain to you the backstory in some of these songs many of you know and love. So that tells you a little bit about the Power Hour. The Source TV radio network is a nonprofit 501c3 radio station supporting jazz and black and minority micro businesses to help them build scale because they're too small for Amazon or Shopify. So we have a special show for them on the Source Radio Network. It's called the Shop Black Enterprise Showcase. And what we do is we allow the vendor or the micro business to be on our show for 10 minutes to explain the products and services they sell. And we do this free of charge to help promote the growth of wealth within Black and minority communities. Source is a nonprofit 501c3, as I mentioned earlier, and we depend on sponsorships, listener donations, and also donations from the artists that we have on our show to help support jazz because we play jazz 24/7. This show goes out through an affiliate of the BBC in the UK, and eventually, at the end of 30 days, this show will be seen by about 3 million people in 165 countries. So, tune in, join us, and enjoy the show. The Power Hour has had over 250 amazing guests, some of them extremely well known, and some well known and becoming well known. Some of the artists we've had include Eric Roberson, Bob James, Mesa, Brian Culbertson, Paul Brown, Steve Davis, Felix Cavalieri, Raheem DeVaughn, Reagan Whiteside, Alex Harris, Samara Joy, Greg Adams, Tom Brown, Costella, Pieces of a Dream, Kamasi Washington, Kiko Matsui, Kim Scott, Sheryl Crow, Billie Ocean, Annie Lennox, Dwelle, Maria Antoinette, Jay Brown, Erin Stevenson, Mavis Swan Poole, Cecily, the late Bobby Caldwell, Jeff Bradshaw, Jeff Beck, Dion Parson, Tammy McCann, Eric Burden, Kelly Finnegan, and Billie Ocean, and many more. That should give you some idea of the range of artists we have, from legends to well-known to becoming well-known. Tonight's no exception. Tonight we have a very special artist for you who I know you're going to enjoy. I've been following her music for years. Born a few miles from Motor City in Highland Park, Michigan in 1954, and surrounded by the sounds of some of the great voices and musicians in American music. As a kid, her home was filled with vinyl recordings her parents loved, artists including Dinah Washington, Thelonious Monk, Ahmad Jamal, Sarah Vaughan, Billie, Ella, Frank, Tony, and Sammy Davis Jr., just to name a few. Her father owned a well-known clothing store whose clientele was a who's who in Detroit. She vividly remembers accompanying her dad after dinner as he personally delivered custom-tailored suits to clients, including trips to Berry Gordy's Motown mansion in Detroit. At age 16, a trip to New York City changed her life. Seeing the Broadway production of Hair sparked something special immediate within her. At that moment, she knew she wanted a life in the arts. She became a singer-songwriter and recording artist, building a career that has spanned 4 decades. Her tenacity led her to the famous United Sound studio. Soon, she became a background vocalist on Michael Henderson's albums and eventually toured with Michael Henderson and his band. She later became part of Detroit's acclaimed Was Not, leading to numerous recording opportunities with Detroit's finest musicians, vocalists, and a large range of jazz artists and orchestras. As a solo artist, she has released uh, many commercially successful albums and many top charting, Billboard charting singles. In addition to her music, she is also an abstract visual artist, which you'll see when you see her on screen. And she just is an all around fascinating, talented person. So she describes her artistic style, by the way, as visual jazz on canvas. So please welcome tonight's special guest to the Jazz Confusion Power Hour, Kathy Kosins. Welcome, Kathy.
Well, you did your homework on me, Mr. Mel. Hi, how you doing?
Uh, that's what I do.
Just for the record, it's was not was, not was not was. Oh my God, yeah, that was a trip being in those recordings, on those
well,
recordings.
Well, look, I'm glad you're here, and I've wanted to have you on this show for a while now. So I want to start off by having you tell everybody. I always start the show off, what's cooking for the rest of 2026? What's doing in 2027? Concerts, recording, studio work. What are you doing?
A little smorgasbord. I've got 4 songs written, recorded in the can, and one at a time they'll find their way to the radio airwaves. I've got several interesting gigs coming up. One, actually, I have a residency. It's going on 3 years at a really interesting boutique hotel in downtown Detroit called the Shinola Hotel. And they're the third Sunday of every month. It's just really chill. It's wonderful. I get to explore doing a lot of music that I haven't presented or even recorded yet. And beyond that, I've got something coming up in mid-September in Cary, North Carolina, at the Cary Center for the Arts. And I'm on stage for the evening, and there's a woman by the name of Terry Tobin who's also going to be a part of that bill. And from there, I'm doing a visual artist lecture. I'm doing throughout the whole month of September, I'm doing art workshops, either in my home art studio or in other art institutions where they bring me in to run a 3-hour master class. That's the visual side of me. That's the other side of the same coin. And then at the end of September, beginning of October, I have a solo art exhibit across the state in a wonderful beach community, Saugatuck, Michigan. And from there, I'm going to Los Angeles. I've got a performance in Los Angeles. And from there, I've got a weekend in Las Vegas at a really nice intimate jazz club called Vic's. And from there, who knows? I mean, it's all coming down the pike. Next year, I think I'm doing a run in Germany with a fellow Detroiter expat living in Berlin by the name of Kelvin Scholar, really talented guy. We have a record out right now that Paul Randolph and I co-wrote back in I want to say 2016, 2017, and there's many iterations of that song called Could You Be Me? And the latest iteration is the one with Kelvin. Um, and I'm writing more and recording more and releasing. If I'm not writing or recording, I'm painting. And they all feed off of each other, Mel. So that's what I've got going on.
Wonderful. You got a lot going. I'm sure people who are listening to you and maybe learning about you for the first time and fans that are out there, I'm sure they're going to be interested in picking up some of your music and visiting some of your concert venues around the world.
I
So
hope so.
I hope so too. That's the point of all this, you know. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the interesting parts about your childhood. I found it fascinating to look back at some of the things that uh, you had at your fingertips because you lived in near Motown in the Detroit era, in the Detroit area, and Motown was then king of the hill, and so was Berry Gordy. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about that time that you spent with your family. What kind of music was in your household? Let's start with that. And
Well, pre-Motown, as you stated in the introduction, my mom and dad had vinyl. There was nothing else but vinyl. And it was, like you said, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis, Ahmad Jamal, Thelonious Monk. The records were on all the time. Julie London, the records were on that turntable all the time. So I wasn't conscious of it at the time, but it must have worked its way into my DNA because ultimately, uh, well, you read my bio pretty well. The trip to New York, seeing hair on stage with people running around naked, and I said I had to do that. And I didn't know at that time if I was going to do acting or go into music. And music and acting, they feed off of each other too. As far as
what,
Motown goes, I
yeah.
worked at my father's store when I was just a little kid, 8, 9, 10, 11, doing menial tasks. And as I got older, I was asked to work in that store, during Christmas time and holidays when it was incredibly busy. And my father's mother, my grandmother from Poland, sat behind the desk and she counted all the money. And you had everything from people getting bar mitzvah suits to pimps walking in with full length mink coats and hats, dropping a sack of maybe 10,000 $1 bills on the counter. My grandmother was counting all the money. It was a cast of characters. And I met uh, Marvin Gaye. I met Aretha Franklin's father, the Reverend Franklin. I met Smokey Robinson. I met Stevie Wonder was in the store. Jackie Wilson was at our house for dinner. They
Wow.
all came to the store. And my father had a whole tailor shop in the back of the store. And the tailors would come out and they'd mark the suits and they'd tailor the suits. And if it was an important customer, my father would say, let's get in the car and go for a ride. I got to deliver suits. And it was Berry Gordy. We went to the mansion. Coleman Young was the mayor of Detroit in 1977. We went to the Manoogian Mansion with those suits. And also Diana Ross. I met Diana Ross. They were all in that store. If you had a man in your life, a son, a father, or you were of the male persuasion, you were buying your clothes at Kosins Clothes if you wanted to look really
So,
sharp.
so basically, Kathy, you not only were immersed in jazz, but you were also immersed, obviously, in what was going on in Motor City, and Motown, and so you were really involved very heavily also as when you were young, meeting and also listening to um, soul and pop on the radio.
Right, and jazz wasn't even in my purview as an artist or a writer at that time. I think my first gig was I auditioned for a rock and roll, a top 40 band, 6 nights a week, a bar band.
So
And I,
we're
yeah,
gonna get to that in a little while. I
okay,
want to
yeah,
I want to stick to a few things so people can get a good feeling for how you develop when we finally get to that point. Now,
okay,
when you went to public school, did you participate in any music programs?
no,
Nothing at all. So
no.
so be so by the time you were 18 years of age, what was your music experience? Was there anything professionally that had occurred by the time you were 18?
Yes, I was listening to, at 16, actually, I was immersed in Janis Joplin records and the Jefferson Airplane and Jimi Hendrix, and that's what I was listening to. I fell in love with the genre. And to me, it was all wonderful. Then I gravitated a little bit and went into the Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind and Fire and a little more on the soul
I'm
R&B.
just curious, how does this relate to your musical development? Were you singing? Were you recording? What were you doing?
No, I didn't sing or record until my almost my late 20s.
So
I
okay, so
was
after public school, what did you do?
floundered around. I had a job at one of the biggest rock and roll magazines coming out of Detroit at that time, Cream
Oh,
Magazine. Yeah,
yeah, I remember that.
I worked at Cream Magazine in the advertising department. See, I knew a whole lot about sales because of my father's store. So it was in my blood. Selling, I could sell anything. I worked in a ladies' clothing store for a while. Um, I did college for 2 years. I did a 2 year uh, community college program, and I took classes like creative writing and photography and
Nothing in music.
camping.
Nothing in
No
music.
music, nothing. Not until no. No, and by the time I got into music, uh, the time I got into music seriously and wanted to record and write. And that would have been actually later than my late 20s. That would have been in my early 30s. I was listening to four singers: Patty Austin, Phyllis Hyman, Angela Bofill, and Marlena Shaw. Those four singers gave me the impetus to go into
So
this. Yeah.
so how would you tell me when you would mark your first professional moment, whether it was songwriting, whether it was recording, whether it was performing? What was it when you first had what you would consider your first moment as a professional artist?
I really didn't. All I can tell you, I mean, it's a blur. Going back that far, um, it was kind of a hodgepodge because it all happened at once. I just started doing radio and television commercials. I joined SAG-AFTRA. At the same time, I joined a 16-piece society jazz big band, and we played all the Italian
Well,
weddings. Yeah.
let me slow you down because I want to get some
Okay.
detail. When you were doing the commercials, were you singing? Were you sent?
Yes. Oh,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yeah,
I don't.
my first big commercial was Dodge Boys Have More Fun. And then I did a whole lot of commercials for Cadillac and General Motors and uh, Little Caesars Pizza, all kinds of everything coming out of Detroit. I was one of the first call session singers. It wasn't until later on that I sang with Michael Henderson and Don Was from Was Not Was. And I really got into session work at that point because everybody in the Was Not Was band had their own projects. And they would call me to sing background vocals on somebody else's project. So it sort of all morphed at the same time. I was writing, I was singing, my very first song that was released on me was in 1982. It was a 12-inch dance record on Quality Records called You Shook Me All Night Long. It was an AC/DC tune that Don Was rewrote for me, and he didn't even use my name, he used the name Slingshot. After that, in 1986, I wrote what would become my first 12-inch dance single called I Got the Night Off. I wrote a song about a hooker who has the night off and she wants to find real romance, real
I'm
love.
I'm
And
curious.
that, I have to
No,
say
wait.
that,
Hold. You're moving too quickly because there's things I want people to know. When you
okay,
wrote that song
yeah,
about a hooker with a night off, what was your inspiration for that?
it it was a story. I was telling a story, a fictional story that's probably true. I mean, it could be any hooker that has the night off that
But
has a boyfriend.
how did you choose that particular theme? Is
Subject?
some. I'm sorry.
I wrote the story around, in my mind, it like a short story about a hooker who has the night off. And
Yeah, I guess
that
I'm. I
was,
guess I'm trying to find out why you chose that
I have
content.
no idea
Okay, that's
because
what I'm trying to find.
I
Okay.
was writing all kinds of music, but that
Okay.
one landed on Sony Carrere, a French, a subsidiary of Sony Records. And so my first gigs as my own artist was off of that record, was with a quarter-inch tape in my suitcase, from gay club to gay club to gay club, from DC tracks to New York City, the Saint, I believe it was, and then Detroit, Back Street, I think it was called, and a few clubs in Los Angeles. And I got on stage and they gave me the music minus the vocal out of the studio on tape, and the sound engineer uh, queued up the tape, and I went on stage for a lot of money and sang one song
I'm
at
curious.
like what?
Curious. Could you read music?
No,
Okay. When you
no. I
learn
play by
songs
ear,
by ear,
everything
yeah.
by ear. I write melody and lyrics kind of simultaneously, a little bit at a time in my head. Then I always flush it out, with a
Well,
co-writer.
we're going to get to songwriting because I want to know how that process occurs. But right now, I want to break a little bit and let people hear some of your music. So I want to start out playing the first song of the evening, "Tiptoe Gently." So why don't you tell people
What
a
a
little bit, a short
great
backstory?
story. Great story. So I was getting ready to record my third album, Vintage, and I was looking for obscure, and I mean obscure material. If I'm not writing, then I'm cutting very obscure material, always. Um, I found the song on a Carmen McRae album. It was buried. It wasn't a single off of her album. It was just one of 10 songs on that album that probably never saw the light of day. And I fell in love with the song, and somebody heard it. They heard it on maybe New York radio station, maybe it was WBGO. I don't remember. And I got a phone call from this lady's daughter. She said, "My mother wrote that song for Carmen McRae in the 50s. My mother's name was uh, Paulette Rubenstein, but she goes by Paulette Gerard. And she wrote a whole body of work for Carmen and other artists. And I had a gig in New York at the Baruch Center for the Arts, and guess who sat in the front row? Paulette Gerard. And at that time, she was about 92 years old. The woman died a couple of years ago. I think she was 98 or 99. I think she was 99. She might have even been 100. And I had many, many conversations with her about writing and working with Carmen McRae. And it
So how did
fascinated
this?
me.
So tell me about the recording process for this song. This was your first song you were recording and releasing?
No, no, this was part of an album called Vintage. I
Okay.
recorded the entire album in Brooklyn at Acoustic Recording. Michael Brorby was the engineer and studio owner. He still owns that studio. And Aaron Goldberg, a wonderful jazz pianist, did all the arrangements for me. And I had Eric Harland on that album, and I had Peter Bernstein played guitar on that album. A guy named John Ellis played
When did you?
multiple.
Excuse me. When did you release it?
2006, and it came out on a subsidiary. I came out on Warner Brothers, but it was a
Okay,
subsidiary, Lightyear Records, a subsidiary of Warner
good.
Brothers.
Well, let's play it for everybody so they can hear your music. This is "Tiptoe Gently," okay, by Kathy Kosins. I know you're going to enjoy it like I do. And by the way, Blair Brown said, "Awesome, love Kathy's music." I don't know if you know Blair Brown, but he knows you.
I know Blair Brown. He's the gentleman bringing me to the Cary Center for the Arts.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, here is "Tiptoe Gently," okay, by Kathy Kosins.
Tiptoe gently through my dreams. Don't disturb my sleep. 'Cause if I wake up, the romance will break up. Dreams don't usually keep. Walk on velvet through my mind. Your footsteps might intrude. And in the alarm you might leave my arms. Please don't disturb the mood. This scene we're playing seems bound for a happy end. The things you're saying send my heart on an upward trend. Tiptoe gently through my dreams. Tread with utmost care. Don't go and mix it up unless you can fix it up for me to wake and find you there. My sleep. 'Cause if I wake up, the romance will break up. And dreams don't usually keep. You better walk on velvet through my mind. Your footsteps might intrude. And in the alarm you might leave my arms. Please don't disturb the mood. This scene we're playing seems bound for a happy end. The things you're saying send my heart on an upward trend. Tiptoe gently through my dreams. Tread with utmost care. Don't go and mix it up unless you can fix it up for me to wake and find you there. Find you there.
That's beautiful. Beautiful track. I love that.
Thank you.
Really. Let's talk a little bit more now since we started talking about you as a singer-songwriting. So I guess my first question is, when did you write your first song? Even if it wasn't released or recorded, when do you remember writing your first song?
I was at my friend Gary Nestor's house in the studio in a basement. He had a home studio. And by the way, this is the guy that I ended up doing a lot of radio and television work for, uh, getting into the late 80s. But now I have to digress. This is like in my late 20s, maybe, or it might have been 1977. My first song that I wrote with him, I mean, we had a lot of gags. It was called Machine Shop Grip. Machine Shop Grip. Your grip is so hip. Machine Shop Grip. Your grip makes me flip. I mean, we were kibitzing. We did a lot of crazy things writing wise. And we recorded stuff too. I think I might even have some of that old music. Um, when I really got serious about writing, I wrote 4 songs for a record that came out on Capitol Records. Gene Dunlap, the drummer, was the artist. He was the drummer for Earl Klugh. And I did not sing on this album. I was just hired on as a writer. So I wrote 4 songs for that album. I think it was called "The Party in Me," and I wrote the title track, there was a co-writer on some of that material with me, a pretty famous guy now on Blue Note Records, also from Detroit, saxophonist Dave McMurray, who was also part of the Was Not Was band. There were offshoots of all these different groups. So, interestingly enough, fast forward to now, one of the songs that I wrote for that album called Just a Matter of Time, In Just a Matter of Time, was sampled by a rapper from Dayton, Ohio by the name of Trippie Redd. He's had millions of streams. He took the whole song, and all of a sudden I started getting these checks from Sony ATV. And I didn't know
That's great.
why. I didn't know where the money. I tracked down the money. I traced the money, and I'm still getting money for Trippie Redd. So here I wrote something in the 80s, and it came back and paid dividends. Then I
That's
wrote
great.
for
Let me ask you a question. How do you approach songwriting? Every artist does it differently. Do you start with a melody in your head? Do you start with a lyric that comes to mind? How do you do it?
both. Yes, both. Sometimes it's a melody, and all of a sudden there's something going around in my head, and I now back in the day, you turn on a cassette and record your voice into the cassette. Now you just open up your phone and you do a little voice recording. It's handy. And sometimes it's just a lyric. Sometimes it's just a song title. And then the song title gets written on a piece of paper. I'm very old school. I write and I have a notebook and I write all the time. And so a title or a set of lyrics will come, and then all of a sudden, some melodic ideas will come, and then I'll call on a collaborator, any number of collaborators. Sometimes people will send me a full track, like Bob Baldwin sent me a track, and the song Let's Rewind was born. I wrote the lyric and the melody just on a set of chord changes. So
Hmm.
there's not one right or one wrong way. I utilize every tool in the toolbox.
Well, when you do recording, are you involved in post-production at all, when you're in the studio, or do you have
I'm
people?
involved in everything from pre-production to the production itself. My first 6 albums were produced by me. Sometimes there's a co-producer on some of my singles, but for the most part, it's me. I go in with studio engineer. I know what mic I want to use. I know the sound that I would like to get, and it's just myself and an engineer. And
So you so you don't do you don't use live musicians all the time?
not all the time. Sometimes the live musicians I use, but those parts will get, I'll do a scratch vocal maybe, and the live musicians will, we'll all be in the studio together sometimes. Sometimes the musicians do all the music first and then I come later. When I did my whole Uncovered Soul album, I recorded with a full band. And then later on, I took my scratch vocals off the record, and that was done in LA. And I came back to Detroit and I cut all my vocals at Gary Nestor's, the same guy from back in the day. I mean, Gary and I go way, way back. I have very long and established relationships with people that I started out with in this business.
Do you find that it's more organic if you have the musicians in the studio with you when you're recording your vocals, or doesn't that really make a difference to you?
It's a distraction. I mean, I've done it both ways. I'd rather be in the studio by myself with no one around me. When I
Okay.
worked, Bob Baldwin and I wrote a second song, and he took me to New York, and we cut it at a really fabulous studio where Samara Joy recorded uh, in Tarrytown. I wish I could remember the name of the studio,
Oh, I know
but
the studio you're talking about. I used to live near Tarrytown. I know
um,
exactly. Yeah, it's on. Yeah,
a cave in, or I can't
yeah.
remember.
It's like
Anyway,
yeah.
it's got like 4 9-foot Steinways in the big room, and a fabulous engineer. And Bob produced my vocal on me. I wanted him to do that with that particular song, but so every now and again, yeah, I'll have a producer. I had a producer on Magic Island only for my vocal. One guy did the track, and I went back to California when the track was done, and I went in his little studio and cut the vocal. And then we brought in my other favorite guy from LA who added some sweetening to it out of his studio, Mitch Foreman. Mitch and I did Aurora's Light. I mean, I know you're going to play all this music, so when you get to it, we can talk a little bit about
Oh,
that
that's the one.
process.
That's the one I want to play next. I want to play Aurora's Light.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm just curious. Did you ever have any vocal lessons?
No,
So all natural.
no painting, no vocal. Just I was a
No.
terrible singer when in my first couple of bands. I was horrible. I was smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day and I was singing in bar band.
Wow.
Not 3 packs, two maybe, but and you would stay up until 2 in the morning. You would play 5 sets. You'd start at 9, you'd finish at 2, and you'd do it 6 days in a row, and you got one day off a week if you were lucky. So I hated it, but I got good over time.
Well, tell people briefly. You already started already, but finish telling people briefly Aurora's Light.
Aurora's Light was written by myself and two writers when I was in the UK performing and going around with my radio promotion man, the lovely Steve Ripley. Love that guy. I mean, he had me on the BBC. He took me to all these radio stations and print magazines too, like huge billboard size magazines, Echoes magazine and Blues and Soul. And while I was there, I teamed up with a couple of guys who did multiple iterations of my song, Can We Pretend? I was working with all these remixers, house guys, electronic guys. They were all remixing. We gave them the stems, and they would remix all these various songs.
Is that
So
what what they did with Aurora's Light though? How did that come out?
nothing. They didn't do anything with Aurora's
Okay.
Light. We sat down, we came up with the song. Um, I recorded a little demo of it. I did nothing with it. I brought it home, and years later, I took it to Mitch Foreman and I said, I want to do this now. It's time. I have things sitting in the can from 5, 6, 7 years ago. When it's
Wow.
time,
Okay.
when it's time, it's time.
Yeah.
So I went to California, and Mitch and I went in the studio, and um, we worked on it. He had the track prepared. I cut my vocal. He was there as a guidepost.
And what's the inspiration for the song? What's the title?
Aurora's
Aurora's
Light
Light.
is the goddess of the dawn. I mean, flying away in your arms. It's the goddess of the dawn that comes and takes you away, and it's allegory pretty much, and it's very romantic, and
All right. Well,
people loved it.
Let's play it for everybody. I'm sure they're eager to hear another song. So let's play Aurora's Light. This is Aurora's Light by Kathy Kosins.
Whispered words upon the wind are drawing me in. Share the sleep, I'm sleepy, and bring the moonlight in. Steady, soft, feel you breathe. So heavy and warm, breathe yourself into me and out into the dawn. Fade to gray, night into day. Come the morning, we'll play the day away in Aurora's light. We can both take flight where you wanna go. on the breeze. Follow wherever you lead. What a banquet of a day, so let it begin. Share the feast I'm keeping, and bring the sunlight in. Honey glow falls away, calling us home. Lock the door, pull the drapes. You got me all alone, fade to gray, night to day. Come on, baby, let's play the day away. Fade to gray, night to day. Come on, baby, let's play. We'll play the day away in Aurora's light. We can both take flight. Where you wanna go, where you wanna go. In the seasons glow, we can ebb and flow in Aurora's light. Flying away in your arms, flying away in your arms, drifting away on the breeze. Follow, 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 flying away in your arms, flying away in your arms, drifting away on the breeze. Follow wherever you lead. Drifting away on the breeze. Follow, follow in Aurora's light.
That is such a beautiful song.
I can't hear you, Mel. I think we lost the sound.
Can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me. It's good on my end. It's Kathy. You have to log out and log back in.
You're gone. Let me see. Can you hear me? Log out? How do I log out?
I'm sorry. We're having some technical difficulty. And right now, Kathy is going to be logging back in. She apparently lost the audio portion on her end. This happens when you have remote artists as guests. Here she is. She's back. Let me make sure she's
Back.
Now you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. See, I knew it was on your end. Sometimes you must have lost the connection somehow. But anyway, Jean Zhao, who's a dear friend of mine, Jeannie and I have been close for 6 years now. She's listening in and she said, beautiful song. She loves your music.
It popped right up on my screen.
Yep. It sure
Tell
will.
her I said thank you.
Well, you can tell her. You can tell her right
Thank
now.
you.
Okay, so let's continue. Let's talk more tonight about your your artistic performances and the recordings and what you put out so far. So, are there any particular themes or messages or stories that you aim at when you write a song, or is it all storytelling to you, or are there other ways in which you write music?
No, it's all storytelling. I mean, I mean, I wrote a story about a hooker. That was my first foray into writing a story. Um, I think every song I've ever written, with the exception of a few that were more just a vibey thing, but there's always a story. I mean, Magic Island is a story. Um, I'm trying to think. I wrote a song called If Love Could Talk on my Uncovered Soul album. That's definitely a story. It's Won't Look Away, a single I had out, is another story, and actually the bookend to If Love Could Talk. So yeah, yes, it's always centered around a story.
And a
It's
story.
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's Rewind. The song I wrote with Bob Baldwin, it's a story, but it's more of a vibe story, and it was written for that market, for that audience. I know how to write for a specific audience. I know what the
That's
audience, yeah.
you see, a lot of artists don't write that way. They don't think that way. And I think it's important. And I think that's why your music has been heard everywhere. It's because you know your audience, you know your market, and you write for those particular people. And I think it makes a big difference. It's a really important thing you're sharing with other artists. Should pay attention to this because it really is important to build your fan base and build your career. I want to give you a thought question.
Okay.
If you could collaborate with any artist, vocalist, musician, singer songwriter, arranger, or producer from any century, anywhere in the world, who would be number one in your bucket list? Who would you like to have worked with?
You mean besides Sting and Donald Fagen?
Who
There's your answer. Um,
well, you tell
ah,
me. Would it be Burt Bacharach? I mean, who would you pick?
I love Burt Bacharach. No, it wouldn't be him, but I mean, he's a fabulous writer. Oh my God, from any century?
Yep, anytime.
Mm.
Some of my artists have picked Mozart and Beethoven
Yeah, I
and
could
Schubert.
see why too.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. I love Robert Glasper.
okay.
I love Gregory Porter. He's a great storyteller. His songs are all very deep stories. My whole Uncovered Soul album came to be because of Gregory Porter. I was doing a radio show in Sacramento or somewhere up in Northern California, and I pulled off the side of the road because I heard one of his songs, and I didn't know who he was, and I had to hear the announcer say who that was, and I started really tuning into that man's music, and I
Well,
had the
Robert Glasper is a good choice too. I mean,
yeah, Robert Glasper
yeah,
is one of my favorites.
yeah.
As far as another singer goes, oh wow, um, oh, oh, maybe maybe a male singer might be Jared Lawson, a female vocalist it might be Diane Reeves. I mean, you know what?
I'm just, I'm just curious. Moving more into rock, would you ever think about Stevie Wonder or Paul McCartney
Oh, hell
or
yes. I mean, come on. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
okay,
I mean,
all right.
yeah, yes, absolutely.
Well, look, here's what I really would like to do next now and talk about a little bit touring, because you've done some amazing tours worldwide. Is there any
I have.
tour that stands out in your mind as being really pivotal or important as your career developed?
Well, they're all important, but I did a couple of things in Europe that really made a dent. As a feature artist, not with my own group, I went out from 2005 until about 2008 with the late great blues and jazz artist Kevin Mahogany.
Oh, okay.
I only sang a handful of songs in his show, but we played all over the world. And Bernard Purdy played drums in the band, and Red Holloway, may he rest in peace, and Kevin passed away also, played sax in the band, and Grant Green Jr. played guitar in that group. And we did Switzerland, we did the North Sea Jazz Festival, we did Lyon, a huge festival in Lyon, France. We did a wonderful festival,
When was that, Kathy?
2007 or 8,
Okay.
maybe it might have been 2008. And
Okay.
then and
Well,
we
I want
played.
to play. We're starting to run out of time, so I want to play more of your music because that's what I
Well,
want people.
really quickly for
Go
myself,
ahead.
my own personal,
Yeah.
the Beijing Blue Note was fabulous. That was my gig. And also I had 2 runs at different times of the year in Istanbul. I played
Oh,
the Nardis
okay.
Jazz Club in Istanbul, and I loved. And whenever I go to a foreign city, in a foreign country, in a foreign land, I always stay on the front or the back end for a few days so I can live the culture and the people and see the country. I think
So
it's important.
when you go to a city like Istanbul, what's your expectation? Do you think that the audience will, since you're a vocalist, do you think they are coming there to hear your lyrics, or they're coming to hear the music, not the lyrics?
I think they're coming to hear a combination of both.
Both?
Um,
Okay,
my expectation in Istanbul is making sure I get to the spice market and the big Grand Bazaar. I mean, when I'm in these countries, I have to see what's key in those countries.
sure.
Yeah, they're coming to hear the music, and I
Okay.
sell out those shows in Europe.
Well, that's great. Well, let's give somebody another sample of your music that I love. Any day now. Let's play the song, and then afterwards we'll come back and you can say a few words about how it originated. Okay?
Yeah, this is
This is any.
Bacharach, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Burt Bacharach wrote
Burt,
this.
exactly. This is
Yeah.
a Burt Bacharach song done by Kathy Kosins. Any day now.
Any day now, I will hear you say goodbye, my love, and you'll be on your way. Then my wild, beautiful bird will have flown. Any day now, I'll be all alone. Any day now, when your restless eyes meet someone new, and to my sad surprise, then the blue shadows will fall all over town. Any day now, love will let me down. I know I shouldn't want to keep you if you don't want to stay. Until you go forever, I'll keep holding on for dear life, holding you this way. to stay. Any day now, when the clock strikes go, you'll call it off, and then my tears will flow. Then the blue shadows will fall all over town. Any day now, love will let me down. I know I shouldn't wanna keep you if you don't want to stay. Until you go forever, I'll keep holding on. I'll keep holding on for dear life, holding you this way, begging you to stay. Any day now, any day now, I'll be all alone.
It's so beautiful, Kathy. Your voice is so melodious, and it's just beautiful to listen to.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you.
So I wanted we're running out of time quickly now, so I'm going to
Okay.
have to skip some of the questions I wanted to ask you, and we'll have to
Okay.
have you back another time. Let me ask you one thing that I think listeners would want to know. If you want your listeners, viewers that are showing up tonight, and we have almost 200,000 people are tuned in, by the way, tonight to hear your show. Um,
Really?
yes, it's 197,942.
Can I have names and numbers, please?
If I had them, I would give them to you. They just click on my station so I know they're listening.
Yeah.
So anyway, the thing I want to ask you about is, what would you want them to remember about your music or about you as an artist? What would be important to you for them to remember after to your music and listening to you?
I just want them to walk away with good thoughts. I want them to know me as a visual artist too. Like I said, I'm two sides of the same coin, and they're both equally important. So if my music grabs people, then I want them to know that I have a career as a visual artist, and I want the visual arts patrons of that genre to know me as a musician. I want to cross collateralize those two things, and that's what I want people to walk away with.
I don't. I wish I could remember the name of the artist, but there is an artist that's a vocalist and also a painter. She also is a graphic designer
Joni
and a painter.
Mitchell. Joni Mitchell.
It's not Joni Mitchell I'm thinking about. I know her too, but somebody actually, while they're performing on stage, they actually create a painting that they auction off at the end of the show.
That would be me. That's what I do at every
Then
concert.
it's you.
It is
Okay.
me. It's me.
I was I
Yes,
couldn't remember who it was. Yeah.
I let the band play one song. I prop up a music stand and I put a like a 12 or a 14-inch canvas, and I paint an improvisational jazz solo on the canvas with color and a brush.
Wonderful. That's
Yeah.
great. I mean, talk about a performance that really enhances for everybody. The
Only
performance.
once in a blue moon, I will be instructed, do not paint on our stage because, they just brought in a new piano or they have a new stage. And
Right.
usually I put a drop cloth down. But the one funny story is when I
I
opened for,
I'd love to hear it, but we're out of time.
oh, okay.
So this is why the hour goes back so fast. So I want
Can
to
I
play
give
Magic
people
Island.
my
I want to play
Instagram?
Magic Island to wrap it up, and then we'll come back and you'll tell everybody how they can get in contact with you.
I hope
Okay?
so. Okay.
Okay. So this is Magic Island by Kathy
This
Kosins.
is the current single.
There's a place called paradise. Pack your bags and don't think twice. We'll chart a course, no map in sight, and love will guide us through the night. Every way begs for a kiss, drifting past the edge of bliss. Just the stars and the open sky. No one here but you and I. Just believe. Sailing to a magic island across the sea. Sailing to a magic island, just you and me. Drifting far beyond the sunset, it's meant to be. I'm in your arms. Finally, the rhythm of the ebb and flow just means we'll have to take it slow. And if the tide comes in too fast, hold on tight, this soon will pass. Lost within a midnight dream. Close your eyes and just believe. Sailing to a magic island across the sea. Sailing to a magic island, just it's
Wonderful. That's your current hit out right now, right, Kathy?
That's the one that just pays, keeps on paying.
And is it charting anywhere that you know of?
Yeah, it's charting on, I think, a bunch of different smooth jazz global and Alan Kepler's. It's been on Kepler's chart now for about, I don't know, 9, 10 weeks already. It came out at the at the beginning of March. No, these don't chart. I mean, there's no top 40. It's not a Billboard charting song, but I don't care. I mean, people are hearing
Yeah.
it. It's all
No,
over.
I'm only mentioning it so people can go, and if they want to go to those charts and stations, they can hear your song.
Yeah, they can, and it's available on all streaming platforms. Not only that, we have a tracking service called Warm, and it tracks in real time every single play we get on all of these songs. And I'm being played on 159 countries right now with that particular song. South
And you're
Africa, yeah.
Well, you're on my station. You're on my playlist. That song's being played every week, at least 21 times a week.
Mel, thank you. You know
You're
what? It's
welcome.
all good. I
You're
don't care
welcome.
if the man in the moon plays it. Somebody's listening. Somebody's tuned in, right?
Great. Well, Kathy, look, we're over time already, and it's the end of the show. So why don't you tell people where they can contact you, where they can find you, become a fan, where they can find where you're performing, and where they can buy your music.
They can find out a lot about me at my website, which is simply kathykosins.com, KATHYKOSINS.com. My artwork is there also on the art page. They can find me on Instagram at Kathy Kosins. And I have 2 Facebook pages. It's easy to find me. Just go to Facebook and put in my name and it'll all come up. Just go to Google and put my name in the search box. I think there's thousands of different things you could find out.
Terrific. Well, Kathy, look, it's been a real pleasure. I wish we would have had more time because there's so much more I want to discuss with you. So when you're ready to drop your next single or your next song, let me know in advance and we'll have you back on. And maybe we can even play it before it actually is played nationally or globally.
You're in DC, right, Mel?
I'm just outside of DC,
Well,
right?
you know what? Why not me just hop a flight and we'll do an in studio?
We can do that too if you want
Yeah,
to.
and then we can
But this
go have dinner.
this worked well because people can see your artwork behind you.
Yeah, I did this painting in 20, I think I did it in 2019, but I've got a studio downstairs in my home, and there's a lot of artwork in that studio.
Maybe
Lots.
next time we can do the interview from your studio downstairs.
I've done that before. I take everything down and my paintings are all around. You know, I just have to move the computer around. You can
Yeah,
see everything.
let's do that next time. Well, look, it's been a pleasure. If you want to hang around for a few minutes after the show, we can chat. But I have to
Yes.
wind everything up now. So
Yeah,
thank you
let's do
again,
that.
Kathy, and we'll see you again. I'm sure very soon.
Thank you so much, Mel. I enjoyed myself, and thank you, all the listeners, for tuning in. We think that's just great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good night.
Good night.
Well, that was the fabulous Kathy Cousins, and I mean, she's multidimensional. Not only does she sing and write, she's a singer-songwriter, but she's also a very accomplished artist. You can also go to her website and see some of her paintings. You know, and when you play her at a concert, she actually paints on stage and then auctions off a painting afterwards. So that's the fabulous Kathy Cousins. So be sure to tune in next Thursday night for another edition of the Power Hour, because next week we have a fabulous group. We're going to have maybe one or two or three maybe of the band members. They're called Three Style, and you're going to love their music. They're just fabulous. So again, tune in next week. I'll see you all next Thursday evening, another edition of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. Good night, everybody.
Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion
My
Power
name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.